Your summer garden is quietly failing right now, and most people won't notice until it's too late. Not because of bugs. Not because of the heat. But because of 7 simple things they either skipped or got completely wrong during the one window that actually decides how the rest of the season goes. Today I'm pulling back the curtain on all 7, and the last one is the one almost nobody talks about, but it might be the most important thing you do all summer. Welcome back to Earthly Gardening, the place where we make growing your own food simple, smart, and easy on your wallet. If you're joining us for the first time, so glad you found this channel. Hit that subscribe button right now because we drop practical garden content every single week that saves you time, money, and a whole lot of frustration. And to our regulars, welcome back, it's always good to have you here. Before we get into it, drop a comment below and tell me, how is your summer garden looking so far? Thriving, struggling, or somewhere in between? I read every single one and I genuinely want to know. Now let's get into these 7 critical actions because your garden needs them sooner than you think. Step 1, mulch like your garden's life depends on it, because it does. Here is something most gardeners completely overlook once the heat kicks in. The soil underneath your plants is basically screaming for help right now, and bare soil in summer is one of the fastest ways to watch a thriving garden turn into a sad, dried-out mess within days. The ground loses moisture way faster than you think when it's exposed to direct sun, and once the topsoil dries out and hardens, your roots start struggling to pull in the nutrients they need to keep your plants productive. So here is what you do. Grab whatever mulch you have access to: straw, shredded leaves, wood chips, even grass clippings work beautifully, and lay down a generous layer around the base of every single plant in your garden. We are talking about 2 to 4 inches thick. Not a light sprinkle, an actual proper layer. That mulch acts like a blanket that keeps moisture locked into the soil, keeps the root zone cooler on those brutal afternoon days, and slowly breaks down to feed your soil at the same time. The beautiful part is this costs you almost nothing if you have a lawn or trees nearby. Grass clippings straight from your mower, dried leaves you saved from last fall, even cardboard laid flat and covered with a thin layer of soil works as emergency mulch. Your plants will visibly respond within a week. You will notice the soil staying moist longer between waterings, and that alone can cut your watering time almost in half during the hottest stretch of summer. Step 2, stop watering the wrong way. Most gardeners water their plants daily and feel great about it. What they do not realize is that shallow, frequent watering is actually training their plants to be weak. When you splash a little water on the surface every day, the roots stay close to the top because that is where the moisture is. And shallow roots mean the moment a heat wave hits or you miss a day, those plants wilt fast and hard. Deep, infrequent watering is what builds strong, resilient plants. Instead of watering a little every day, water deeply 2 to 3 times a week and let the water soak down 6 to 8 inches into the soil. That forces the roots to chase the moisture downward, and deep roots mean your plants can handle heat, drought, and stress without falling apart on you. The best time to water is early morning before the sun gets aggressive. This gives the leaves time to dry before nightfall, which cuts down on fungal issues that love sitting moisture. Evening watering is the second choice if mornings are impossible, but avoid watering in the middle of the day when most of that water evaporates before it even reaches the roots. You are essentially pouring water into the air when you do that. If you want to level this up on a budget, poke small holes into the bottom of plastic bottles, fill them with water, and push them neck first into the soil near your plant roots. Slow release hydration that goes straight where it needs to go, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Step 3, deadhead and prune with intention. Your flowering plants and fruiting vegetables have one biological goal, and that is to produce seeds so they can reproduce. The moment a flower dies and forms a seed pod, the plant thinks its job is done and it starts slowing down flower and fruit production. Deadheading, which simply means removing spent flowers before they go to seed, tricks the plant into thinking it still has work to do. So it keeps producing more blooms, more fruits, more of exactly what you want. For vegetables like tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers, This means going in regularly and removing any dead flowers, yellowing leaves at the base, and any growth that is clearly not going anywhere productive. For tomatoes specifically, pinching off those suckers, the small shoots that sprout between the main stem and a branch, redirects all that energy into the fruits you already have growing instead of spreading it thin across new growth that may not even ripen before the season ends. You do not need fancy tools for this. Clean fingers work for soft new growth, and a simple pair of scissors or garden snips handles anything tougher. The key word is clean. Wipe your blades between plants so you are not accidentally spreading disease from one plant to another. This single habit, done consistently throughout summer, can increase your yield noticeably without spending a single extra dollar on fertilizer or supplements. Step 4. Feed the soil, not just the plant. Here is where most beginner gardeners get it slightly backwards. They see a struggling plant and immediately reach for a bottle of liquid fertilizer to spray on the leaves or drench the roots. And while that gives a quick boost, it does not fix the underlying issue, which is usually that the soil itself is depleted and not feeding the plant the way it should. Healthy soil is alive. It is full of bacteria, fungi, earthworms, and microscopic organisms that work around the clock to break down organic matter into nutrients your plants can actually absorb. When you constantly drench the soil with synthetic fertilizers, you slowly disrupt that ecosystem and make your garden more dependent on those bottles every single season. The summer fix is simple and almost free. Start adding compost. Even a thin half-inch layer worked into the top of your soil around existing plants gives that underground ecosystem a meal and wakes everything back up. If you do not have a compost pile yet, now is the time to start one, but in the meantime, banana peels buried near the base of your plants release potassium slowly as they break down. Used coffee grounds mixed into the soil add nitrogen. Crushed eggshells provide calcium and help with soil structure. These are not quick fixes, they are investments that compound over time and make your garden easier and cheaper to maintain every single season. And the cost is literally zero because you are using things that were headed straight for your trash bin anyway. Quick pause right here because if this is giving you value, please hit the like button right now. It genuinely helps this content reach more gardeners who need it, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. We put out practical, budget-friendly garden content every week and you do not want to miss what's coming next. Alright, back to it. Step 5. Check for pests before they check you. Summer is the peak season for garden pests, and the tricky thing about most of them is that by the time you see obvious damage, the infestation is already well established and much harder to deal with. The gardeners who stay ahead of pest problems are not doing anything magical. They are just looking closely and looking often. Make it a habit to flip your leaves over at least twice a week. The undersides of leaves are where aphids cluster, where spider mites set up camp, and where caterpillar eggs get laid before they hatch into leaf-eating machines. Catching them early means you can deal with them without chemicals. A strong spray of water knocks aphids off stems and disrupts their colonies. Hand-picking caterpillars and dropping them into soapy water is brutally effective and completely free. For a budget spray that actually works, mix a few drops of dish soap with water in a spray bottle and hit affected areas every few days. Neem oil is another powerful option that handles a wide range of pests and doubles as a fungal preventative. A small bottle goes a long way when diluted properly and it will cover a decent-sized garden for an entire season. The other thing to do right now is check your soil surface for slugs and snails, especially if you have had any rain recently. Crushed eggshells scattered around the base of your plants create a rough barrier they hate crossing, and it adds calcium to the soil at the same time. Two problems solved with one thing you were already throwing away. Step 6. Thin out overcrowded plants. This one genuinely hurts to do, but it is non-negotiable if you want your garden to produce well. When plants are too close together, they compete for the same water, the same nutrients, and the same light. And when plants are competing that hard, none of them win. You end up with a patch of stressed, underperforming plants instead of a smaller number of truly thriving, productive ones. Look at your garden right now with honest eyes. If your carrot tops are so dense you cannot see the soil, if your lettuce heads are touching each other on all sides, if your bean plants are leaning and tangling into one another, you are overdue for thinning. Pull out the weakest looking ones and give the strongest plants room to breathe and spread. I know it feels wasteful to pull out plants you grew from seed, but here is the perspective shift that makes it easier. Those thinned seedlings are not wasted if you eat them. Thinned carrot tops are edible greens. Baby lettuce pulled early makes excellent salad. Young beet greens are genuinely delicious. You are not throwing food away. You are harvesting early while improving conditions for everything left behind. The general rule of thumb is to follow the spacing guidelines on your seed packets and actually respect them instead of cramming in just a few more plants because the space looks available. If you already have the overcrowding issue, fix it now rather than waiting. Every week you wait costs your remaining plants real energy and production. Step 7. Protect against the afternoon sun. This last one is the one most people completely skip because they assume more sun automatically means better growth. And while most vegetables do love full sun, there is a difference between full sun and getting blasted by intense afternoon heat for 4 to 5 straight hours during the hottest weeks of summer. That kind of relentless heat stresses plants, causes blossom drop in tomatoes and peppers, wilts leafy greens into oblivion, and speeds up bolting in crops like spinach and lettuce. The fix does not require expensive shade cloth or elaborate structures. Old bed sheets draped loosely over a frame of stakes or bamboo during peak afternoon hours do the job beautifully. A row of taller plants placed strategically on the west side of shorter, more heat-sensitive crops creates natural shade during those brutal late afternoon hours. Even a temporary structure made from branches provides enough relief to keep your plants from hitting that stress threshold where they shut down production entirely. Pay attention to which plants in your garden look the most tired and wilted by late afternoon even after a proper morning watering. Those are your candidates for afternoon protection. Tomatoes, peppers, and leafy greens are usually the first to show that heat stress, and protecting them costs you almost nothing while making a dramatic difference in how they produce for the rest of the season. Summer gardening is not about doing more. It is about doing the right things at the right time. These 7 actions are not complicated, they are not expensive, and you do not need a single special product to make any of them happen. You just need to show up for your garden with intention right now, during the window that actually determines how the rest of your season plays out. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you, that genuinely means a lot. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 7 you are tackling first. I want to know. If this video helped you even a little, share it with a fellow gardener who needs it and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. New videos go up every week and we keep it practical, we keep it affordable, and we always keep it real. See you in the next one.